The shock question. What if the United States launched a military attack on Venezuela? It may sound like fiction, but the consequences could reshape global power forever. Why this scenario matters. In today's unstable world, a single spark can trigger a chain reaction. Wars no longer stay contained. They spread across borders, economies, cyberspace, politics, and daily life. Tonight, we break down what could ignite this conflict, how it might unfold, and how it could transform the global order. Trigger 1. Humanitarian collapse. Venezuela's humanitarian crisis worsens. Hospitals run out of supplies. Cities face blackouts. Shelves sit empty. Neighborhoods fall silent. Families flee on foot to neighboring borders. Millions are on the move. This breaking point could lead Washington to step in under the banner of humanitarian rescue, making intervention politically justified. Trigger 2. A direct threat. If American diplomats, citizens, or strategic assets were attacked, real or perceived, the U.S. could use it as a catalyst for military action. Perceived threats have historically pushed nations into war, and in the Western Hemisphere, reactions could be swift and decisive. Trigger 3. The China-Russia factor. China and Russia have expanded influence in Caracas, investing billions, providing political support, and strengthening military ties. Washington sees this as a challenge in its own backyard. The growing presence of these rivals creates pressure the U.S. may not ignore. The first strike. If the U.S. attacks, the opening moments are explosive. Cruise missiles streak across the sky. Fighter jets strike from multiple directions. Cyber units target communications, infrastructure, and command centers. The goal is to overwhelm Venezuelan defenses quickly. Venezuelan military response. Venezuela would fight back. Russian-built S-300 air defenses launch into the night. Ground forces scatter into mountains, forests, and cities. Militias shift to guerrilla warfare, slowing any occupation and making it costly. Oil market chaos. Global oil markets panic. Venezuela holds large reserves, and disruption sends shockwaves worldwide. Prices surge toward $150, then $200 a barrel. Economies wobble as shipping routes tighten, and companies brace for impact. Regional panic and refugee wave. Millions flee into Colombia, Brazil, and the Caribbean. Refugee camps overflow. Governments struggle to provide aid. What starts as one nation's crisis becomes a regional emergency and one of the fastest-growing humanitarian disasters in Latin American history. Cyber warfare ignites. American banks, power grids, transport networks, and government servers face coordinated cyber attacks. These attacks are likely backed by Russian and Chinese intelligence. The battlefield now stretches across continents and digital networks. China's retaliation. China reacts economically. With billions invested in Venezuela, Beijing imposes sanctions, trade restrictions, and pushes the world away from the dollar. Quietly, China strengthens influence over the global south, presenting itself as a stable alternative to Washington. Russia's covert move. Russia condemns the attack publicly, but moves quietly. Arms shipments arrive. Intelligence is provided. Other hotspots flare, stretching U.S. attention thin. Latin America divided. The region fractures. Right-leaning governments support Washington quietly. Left-leaning nations erupt in opposition. Tensions rise not only between countries but within them, in parliaments, streets, and public opinion. Europe hesitates. UN paralyzed. Europe gives symbolic support but avoids deeper involvement. At the United Nations, Russia and China veto resolutions, leaving the world's top diplomatic body powerless. Global order shifts. The global system shifts. The dollar weakens. BRICS alliances grow stronger. Nations accelerate plans for energy independence, reducing reliance on oil and the U.S.-led financial system. The world moves toward a new multipolar reality. Domestic crisis in the U.S. Back home, the U.S. faces turmoil. Gas prices climb. Protests erupt. The cost of war strains the economy, turning a foreign conflict into a domestic crisis. The refugee flood. Up to 10 million Venezuelans flee, creating the largest refugee wave in the Western Hemisphere. Neighboring countries struggle to absorb the shock. Images of desperate families fleeing violence show how deeply the conflict scars the population. The final warning. A U.S. attack on Venezuela remains unlikely, but imagining it shows how fragile our world is. In an era of rising tensions, one war can trigger cascading crises no nation can fully control. Could such a conflict ever be justified? And if it happened, would the world ever be the same again?